people who are my age are just now getting into work. And I want it to be good when they actually move out, you know? There's no point in things staying the way they are when you can make an impact.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
All right, folks, so we have got a bunch of people from the Scottsboro Starbucks location that are on the organizing committee of the Scottsboro Starbucks Workers United. We have Emma Ellison and Sierra Moore, and then all in a room together, we've got Garrett Ellison, Ava Halpum, Caitlin Knowles, and Corey Bean. Everybody, thank you so much for being on the Valley Labor Report.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm incredibly excited to have all of y'all here. So let's just go through some introductions. Are you from here? How did you get started working at Starbucks? And, some background about working at Starbucks. Maybe how long you've been there, how do you like the job, what kind of stuff you do, stuff like that. And we'll start off with Emma.
So I'm Emma Ellison. I'm currently a college student at NACC. I started working at Starbucks in Scottsboro. Well, not really in Scottsboro. I started at Gunnersville, but it was around September 7th. And the reason I started at Starbucks was because I was working a 725 job and I needed a better job. So I started working.
We may have lost Emma.
No, I was done. Sorry. That's all about me.
There she goes.
They're starting cyber warfare now.
Starbucks is attacking.
The Starbucks union busting is relentless, and they are silencing our sister Emma. So while we wait for the censors to relieve her, we'll go to Sierra.
Hey, so I am Sierra. I started at Starbucks in July of last year, June, July, I don't know exactly when. But I worked at the Gunnersville store as a barista, had to leave because I wasn't making enough money. Went down to just like a day a week, working Sundays only, 6 days a week at a factory. And then my only off day I spent at Starbucks until the manager over there was like, hey, I have a shift position available for you at this new store if you're interested. And I was like, yeah, of course I am, because I'll be making a lot more money. And so I became a shift over here and have been with Scottsboro since it opened. So since like October. So awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of y'all are from Scottsboro. If any of y'all know anybody that work at Jamocha's, you should get them in touch with me, because I have a bit of a personal vendetta against the owners there, and I would love to unionize them.
Wait, Jamocha's like Gunnersville, Boaz, Albertville?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I do actually. I'm from
and they only pay their workers
$7.25. I know.
Like I saw them advertising for a position the other day, and it was like $7.25 plus tips. And the day after that, they advertised that they're going to be raising their prices, even though they're still only paying their workers minimum wage. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So let's go to Garrett.
Hey, I'm Garrett Ellison. I started at Starbucks in September, August area. I started off as a barista. I went to Starbucks because I had previously went to Starbucks as like a customer and really liked the environment. And it seemed like they portrayed this idea of their partners were treated well. It was very inclusive. So I was like, I might as well get onto it, because I was working at a 725 job and was not getting paid to be able to function in society with 725. So I went there and started there. It started out good. We went to Gunnersville. It was very good. We had enough people on the floor to run the store. Everything was getting done. It was outstanding. And I was super excited for our store to open in Scottsboro. And we went to Scottsboro and opened, and I felt like we were that SpongeBob meme where we were just sitting there and fires all around us. And it's been like that ever since. So we decided to take matters into our own hands. So, yeah.
Ava?
Oh, yes. So I'm Ava Halpum. I started working at Starbucks in November of last year, and I got the job because of Emma and Garrett. They talked about how much they loved it and how great it was at Gunnersville. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'll apply. And I got an interview and I got hired on the spot. And little did I know that the reason I got hired on the spot is because it was such a dumpster fire that they were taking.
Yeah.
But I've been working there a good while now. I've moved up to barista trainer recently. But, you know, I'm just like everybody else trying to make it through like I said, the dumpster fire that's going on right now.
Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I've been working for Starbucks. My first day was August 9th of last year. I started as a shift supervisor, and I came to Starbucks because I had to abruptly quit my previous job, and my sister had actually put in my application for me because I had been unemployed and was really struggling with money. And whenever I started at Starbucks, everything was great. I was making great paychecks until a few months ago.
Gotcha. And Corey, last but not least.
Here, we'll kind of turn the screen for him.
So I started November of last year. I came mostly for like the dental insurance, but I also grew up like reading the Harry Potter books inside of Starbucks cafe. Like every time a book would come out, I'd buy it. Just sit in a cafe. I kind of wanted to work somewhere that had that atmosphere to it. And it did at the beginning, but it very quickly deteriorated.
Right.
Yeah.
And now for most of y'all, I think your accents kind of give you away, but is there anybody that's not from around here?
Oh, nope.
I'll say I'm from Huntsville. So my accent comes and goes.
I'm born right here, but I've lived in Colorado and Seattle, up in New York for a bit, so I've been kind of around everywhere.
But you said you were born here in Alabama?
I was born in Texas.
Texas.
But I grew up here.
Gotcha. Well, so, you know, all of y'all are from Alabama, and Corey, you're from the South, you know, and so what are you doing getting mixed up in all this, you know, unionism and stuff? You're supposed to be thankful to your boss and like, do everything that he says and not complain and put your head down and go to church on Sunday morning. Like, what's going on here?
Well, actually, we decided we were just like talking one day and we were like, what if we just unionized? And like we kind of joked about it because we were like, we might as well unionize. Me personally, and Emma included, our father is a part of the IBEW, and we know that they have like helped him out through the union, especially during the recession in 2008 when the tornadoes came through in 2014. They really showed support, and their benefits are outstanding. They really fought for the people that work. And we were just like, why don't we do it? So we had this one time where Corey got in touch with a food industry union, and we were like, okay, but we never really heard anything.
They kind of pulled me around.
Yeah.
A lot.
And it just like never really came through. And then our store manager actually caught wind of us unionizing. So they shut down everything. Like they had these one-on-one meetings with us, like threatened our benefits, like threatened people transferring. Like it was a real deal. And everyone was like, oh my goodness. But like we stood strong. And then we got in touch with Starbucks Workers United, and they've been outstanding, giving us information, being supportive. It's been great. And then we went public and we're here today. So.
Wow. Well, so that's interesting. Garrett and Emma, y'all have, your dad is in the IBEW. Could you talk to us about, you know, did that play a big part in y'all's life growing up?
Yes, It played a very huge part. Like Garrett was saying, like when the tornadoes hit, and I do believe 2012, like all of his friends from work, like banded together and gave him like their overtime so he could stop and help our community in need. Like, they donated tons of food, tons of money, a tent, so we could like house all the people who had lost their homes and was just going through a rough time. And they gave him all their hours, like their extra hours and sick leave, so he could go around and fix people's electricity and get their houses back up and running. So it's been a really huge part in our life. The reason we have great insurance is because of his union job and everything like that. So it's really been such a great helpful thing for us.
That's really awesome, and I think that's, you know, one of the best ways to build the movement is to be a part of it and to show people the things that it does for folks, and I think that's a really, really good testimony, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Ava and Caitlin, what about y'all? How did y'all feel when Garrett and Emma and the others maybe started talking about this and asking y'all about it?
Well, I mean, I would say at least a little bit closer to Emma and Garrett than the others. So I kind of caught wind of it pretty early, and I was all for it. I mean, I am obviously personally pro-union, and I have been for a while. But as soon as I heard that, like, my store that I work at this is happening, I began to do more research on it and learn more about it. And, you know, I talked to people about it. I talked to people who were anti, and I talked to people that were pro to kind of solidify my own opinion. And just through my own research and stuff like that, I realized that I think that this would be super great for our store and for Starbucks as a company. You know, and I think it's very progressive, and I think it'll further, you know, our quality of life in general so much that I was like, yeah, obviously I'm for that.
What was it that made you initially pro-union? You know, like you said, you came into it with an initial inclination to be pro-union. Why was that?
Well, I mean, immediately, it's kind of because, like, of my mom a little bit, to be honest, because she is more so pro. But just everything that I've known about unions and what they stand for is what I stand for. So I was like, you know, I'm pro-union because I don't see how you could hear about something that is better for workers and is better for their life and be like, no, I don't want that.
Is your aunt in a union?
Huh?
Is your aunt in a union?
My uncle, yeah. They're...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're related to them. I forgot. Caitlin, what about you? What did you think about when all this talk started?
So I honestly did not know that much about unions. I was not very informed. So I didn't really know what to think at first. But then as I saw the situation in our store getting worse, for example, my main thing was the cut of hours. And I was talking to Garrett one night about it. And he mentioned the plans of unionizing. And I was like, that seems like a good idea, actually. And I had him send me some information and some pamphlets. And I looked over all that. I'm like, I think this could be good for us because, yeah, that's pretty cool. And I was like, I mean, if it makes where I spend practically every single day better, then I'm for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And Corey, what about you?
I was immediately on board. I mean, I kind of started the first little one that fizzled out, but my philosophy has always been if it's a publicly traded company, their main priority is going to be keeping like stocks up and making money for investors. And people tend, like the workers tend to be the ones who get the short end of the stick there. So I've always been like pro union because I feel like if they can capitalize off of like any negativity or like bad pay for us and bad work conditions, anything to save them a buck, you know, they're going to do it. I've just never really trusted them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, the ability to collectively bargain over the people who want to take more of the value that you create for themselves as opposed to give it back to you, having that, it definitely balances the power, so to speak. But Ava, I'm interested in you and somebody else mentioned that you started working there because it was a better opportunity, because the other opportunity was a minimum wage, $7.25 job. And that is... It's amazing to me that there are still people in Alabama working for $7 an hour. I couldn't imagine having to do that. It's crazy. And so obviously the minimum wage is higher at Starbucks. And so I can just hear the people, listening to us that may be skeptical. They're like, you're making more than you would before. Why do you hate Starbucks? Why don't you just go work somewhere else?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could add to that, actually. We had some people, that's kind of been a lot of kind of what people have said, because people around here, that's kind of what they go to say. But I mean, the thing with that, I mean, personally, like I came from a $7.25 job, and I was going to school and I was having to pay for it myself. And good thing I had scholarships to help with that. But some people aren't fortunate enough to have scholarships. So even when, like now, where I'm at now in my life, where I'm getting ready to move out of my my parents' house to go move with some roommates, and just making $12 is really pushing it, because I have to pay for all that. I have to pay for insurance. Now I have to, I'm going to be paying for utilities and schooling. So even with just $12, it's still hard to function in the state. So,
yeah, I would add that the cost of living has increased far above the pay that we receive. And yeah, companies, they report record profits across the board, and that's been pretty consistent. So yeah, we do make more than a $7.25 an hour job, but I always said, if your pile of crap is prettier than their pile of crap, doesn't make your pile of crap good.
Yeah.
I think it's very ignorant of people to, and I mean, ignorance is a strong word to tell somebody they're ignorant, but to see someone making $12 an hour when you know that they could be making $7.25 and saying, well, you should be happy where you're at because you could be there. Like Corey said, our pile of crap isn't much prettier.
Yeah.
It's honestly disheartening to hear people so mad about someone fighting for a better life. Because it's we're not just doing it for us. We're doing it for the future of all workers. It doesn't have to stop at Starbucks. It's for everybody.
Well, and I think that unionizing at these big brand places like Starbucks and like Amazon, I think it can help shift the message and show people that it's possible at your workplace too. But I'm interested in that you said that it's weird how people would be so mad about folks trying to make their lives better. Have y'all faced a lot of pushback from the community?
There's been their days, but I will say that we've come through and our community has been really supportive. So I'm very happy about that. I love my community. I've grown up in it.
Yeah.
And we were kind of iffy about it. I know the partners at our store were kind of a little scared because they were afraid the community would kind of be back against us, I guess you could say. But they've really kind of showed support, and we've really had some customers come through and talk to us about it and be like, we're so proud of you. And I'll be like, how's your day? And they'll ask me how mine is. And I'll be like, I'm ready to unionize. And they'll be like, we're so proud of you. But we've had a lot of community support. We've had a few that have kind of been a little iffy, but other than that, the good outweigh the bad. So
more on Facebook, I think.
Oh yeah. The majority of the negative that we hear is on Facebook. And it's, I would say 8 times out of 10, it's about the fact that, oh my gosh, if y'all start making more, then the prices are going to be so high that Starbucks is going to shut down forever, and I won't be able to have my caramel ribbon crunch cappuccino.
And what's funny, I wish people could understand, Starbucks has raised their prices just while I've been there, I think 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
And they're starting to charge for blending a drink. Like if you blend a drink, you get charged 50 cents for it. So it's kind of like they're making all this money and we haven't seen anything. Like we were supposed to get our raise, like our $15 raise.
Yeah, they originally said it was going to be in June.
Yeah.
Then
and that was
they said it was in August.
Yeah, that was the second time they pushed it back because we were supposed to get it, I think, the beginning of this year. But they pushed it back or something along those lines. I think they pushed it back twice. So.
And I'm not in my will again.
Yeah, and if I'm sure they
better not, Lord have mercy.
I think they won't push it back again because there's been such a strong union effort in Starbucks that they're like, oh, we can't keep continuing to treat them horribly. We actually have to do something. Even though they're still going to retaliate against unions, I think they're starting to see that they're going to have to start treating partners like partners, and instead of the very short end of the stick where we're all holding on for dear life. So.
How's the response been internally? Obviously, y'all have a lot of people just on this call, and there's people that are staffing there, so it seems like it's pretty good. But how is the vote looking? Do you feel pretty good about winning the election? And what kind of conversations have y'all been having to change minds?
Mm-hmm. So I feel very confident in our partners. Our partners all experience the way Starbucks has been treating us. I feel like they're all really coming to realize that the only way for us to make it better is by doing it ourselves, because Starbucks has shown time and time again that they do not care about partners. We've had many instances where it's shown that behind the scenes, and it's really shown that we have to stand together and do it our own selves. So it's really been like that. Once they've seen like all the stuff that we've done, like before we unionized, there was an instance with Sierra, and like the store decided to write up a bunch of the partners for following protocol, and they tried to get in touch with the store manager. The store manager wouldn't answer. So then they decided to write everyone up that was involved that shouldn't have been written up for absolutely no reason. And we all came together that day and showed up at the store and was like, showed support to the partners. And then we all walked out together. But this was like during the time we were talking about unionizing. And then once people saw that, they realized that, hey, we are powerful together. And it's really kind of going through that. So,
yeah. I would also add, go ahead, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that I would add that I would say in the beginning, most of the partners who were skeptical, it was because they were scared. They were scared that they were going to lose their benefits. We were told that we could possibly not get our raise. So a lot of partners were like, well, there's no point in me being here if I'm going to be a part of a union, but it's going to be worse for me. And at this point, I would say that we've explained to most of them. We've explained to people. We've, talked with them. We've got them involved. So it's a lot better now.
Y'all's store closed a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week, for an anti-union meeting. Talk to us about that.
So it was not just our store, actually. It was, I know for a fact that Gunnersville, their store closed down for meetings as well. But I would say at our store, it was a little bit more serious because they knew what they were going up against.
So we actually had Tina. She was there. I think she, if Sierra might want to add to this, partner resource.
Something like that.
We had Erica, our district manager. We had Tim, our interim store manager. And we had another person, Ben. I don't know. He's over Montgomery or something. He really didn't speak. He was just kind of this omnipotent figure that was like.
Ben actually only spoke. I wouldn't doubt if they only brought him in there because he had a bad experience with the union. The only time I heard him, nothing against this man, I don't know anything about him, but the only thing that I heard him say was his negative experience with the union that he worked with many, many years before.
Mm-hmm. Which their instances were very. What Starbucks has used to de-unionize or union bust, it was an instance that was towards that. So we're kind of like, was that actually really true? Because how does that line up with what Starbucks is saying, Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we would love to reach out to the unions that they were a part of to see if they could give us some info, because like the way that they exaggerated that, there has to be some sort of documentation of instances like that. So if it's true or not, I mean, we're just kind of like, that's weird how it's coincidentally lined up with what Starbucks is saying a union will do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they insinuated that us on the committee were getting paid like $30 an hour.
Yeah.
I wish, Lord.
So they were saying like outlandish things like that. So it didn't lend a lot of credibility to the whole anti-union story he gave.
Yeah.
Seems like it could all have been made up.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah.
they were implying that y'all were getting paid $30 an hour by the union.
They recorded too.
Yeah.
Tina was like, we confronted her about it because we were all outside and we were all talking to each other about who was saying what. And during my meeting, we confronted Tina and we were like, so we heard that y'all were telling people we're getting paid $30 an hour. Like, where is that? You know,
Yes,
I'm not
and
seeing
her
it.
response was, well, you could be lying.
She goes, actually, we actually never said that. And also, she goes, no, but union partners have been getting paid by unions to go to other store and unionize. And I was like, that's not what you tell everybody else. That's a different thing. That's like a whole nother can of worms.
Mhm.
We're not getting paid extra for doing this. We're doing this out of I mean, especially Garrett, out of the goodness of his heart, you know?
Yeah. And I would like to say that they really like misinformed partners. Like they would like use instances like that. And then when someone brought it back up, they would change the story. Like they used like this during the contract, they would be like, well, during this, like they could bring in this clause to affect transfer rights. And that happened in one meeting. And then the other meeting, it was like, well, this could affect seniority pay. And we were like, what? Like their story wasn't adding up. And they just continued. You could tell that they were getting upset with us because we were so like, okay, this is all like, you're like pretty much just lying and misinforming our partners. And like Emma and I know Ava was in the last meeting where Tina actually, she actually got upset and raised her voice at partners and started to say, and like, I know Emma and Ava could probably add to that, where she raised her voice and was like super upset. And it's kind of a shame to see that someone who makes like 6 figures or 3 figures, and like she's an adult. And, and like she's yelling at kids, like, adults, and we're like, okay.
I would like to chime in and attest that she did raise her voice and yell at me when I was confronting her about how she can say that Starbucks accommodates their partners when they don't consider break rooms for their partners when they build their stores. She told me from Tina's mouth that they do not build any break rooms for their employees. And I was asking her that, how is it a partner accommodating when partners are choosing between food and rent for that month? And she yelled and raised her voice at me. And then she was very rude, very, very rude. It was just really shocking because it is confirmed she makes $300K a year, and she was yelling at teenagers.
Yeah, yelling at people who, I mean, can't pay rent.
And it really is a shame because like the other members that were sitting there, like Tim, Erica, and Ben that were sitting there, and they were saying that we're partner oriented, but let something like that happen just shows that they do not care about us. So it's just horrible.
There was a lot of punching down and strawman arguments, if you're familiar with those.
Yeah, a lot of punching down and strawman arguments.
Yeah, well, we could even stipulate, I think, that this guy's story is true and it happened, and it even happened in the exact exaggerated way that he's saying it did. And it still doesn't invalidate the idea that you should unionize. And I've got a great story exactly along those lines in my family. My uncle was a chief steward in the Teamsters in Huntsville at UPS. And he felt like the union did him wrong and didn't represent him when he was injured on the job. And so from him talking about that, a lot of my family got the idea that he was now anti-union. I talked to him like a couple of months ago, and he was talking about how he didn't understand why the Amazon people wouldn't vote yes for the union, like they should absolutely do it. And I was like, I thought you were anti-union. And he was like, no, man, they screwed me over, but I wouldn't have retired in 2002 making $35 an hour if it wasn't for the union. I wouldn't have had health care without the union. I wouldn't have had my leave without the union. Like, yeah, they did one bad thing. This one guy did one bad thing, but unions are good. And, and you know, all these things that you're talking about, about like, oh, this seniority clause was worded weird, or this transfer clause was worded weird. And it's like, well, who writes the contracts? It's the workers. When you have a union contract, y'all are the ones that are going to be able to bargain your contract and ratify. You will be the ones to approve the language that you work under. And so, you know, maybe this other union had a crappy transfer clause. That doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, they were using this, like, they were saying that, well, this union, and we were like, well, is it Workers United? Like, 'cause, I mean, Howard Schultz said that he's not even going to go, like, to the bargaining table. Like, so, I mean, they were very wishy-washy and contradicted themselves. And, like, when I confronted, like, Tina was talking about that, I was like, we're voting on the clause. Like, we're voting on the contract. And she was like, yes. And I'm like, and she would try to dissuade it to say, well, they could vote. I'm like, but we wouldn't vote.
Literally.
We wouldn't vote for that if that happened. Like, because we have the means to read the contract.
She wasn't connecting what you were saying.
No, absolutely not.
I know. I was like, are you listening?
Yeah.
Open your ears. It's like if I was to say, yeah, my cousin got into a car wreck and broke his arm. No one should ever drive a car ever again because my cousin had a wreck. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
In my interview, they started out doing that, and they shifted to just kind of like trying to vilify anybody on the committee. So they would say stuff like, yeah, you may want this, but ultimately it'll be up to like two or three people in the committee.
Did they tell you who votes for the committee?
No,
they did not.
Obviously. Would they? Why would they?
That would be pro-union. What are you talking about?
That would be horrible.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was, and like we have a lot more other retaliation stories like of what they've done, but like some of it's like serious and like those people have yet to come forward about or wanting to go public about that. So we're kind of letting those partners wait till they feel comfortable about coming forward about that situation. So. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. And feel free to, if you want to interject and tell us a story, even if it's off topic, about this, feel free to jump in and say like, oh, hey, I just thought about this. But how's the communication been between y'all and Birmingham? Because right now y'all are the only two stores that are public with the unionization campaign. They just won their election last month, I think, 27-1. So. How have y'all? How's the communication been between y'all?
So actually, when we went public, and that was when we made our Twitter account and stuff, and they actually DM'd us, and they were like, "Hey, we're super so glad that y'all did this. We're rooting from Birmingham," and then they started reaching out to us, like making sure we had stuff, and then we actually got off a meeting with one of their members from Birmingham Sunday. Yeah. So they've been helping us kind of go through the process, as well as Starbucks Workers United and DSA from Birmingham, and also Huntsville as well. And they've really been helping support us and give us information that we need to help our movement go strong. So
they are so kind to us. They've helped us so much. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I've been really impressed with the Birmingham folks. Really enjoy talking to them. And, they seem like they're real knowledgeable and real active. And I've been really impressed with the Birmingham DSA people. They've been really helpful.
Yes, they actually came up to our store one day and just sat there and talked to partners, and they had a drink and we like a coffee and not an alcoholic beverage, but they did only but they did come and like they got out some like little blank sheets of paper and wrote some nice supportive words, pro-union stuff. And then this was actually before our meeting that they shut down the store to union. And they, Tina, Erica, Tim, and Ben, and probably Na as well, they tore them down. They tore down those things that the community and like they had put up. And we were all like, wow, like that's kind of sad, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
That was, I remember that was really early in the campaign, like almost right after you announced. And so presumably at this time you had some people that were still kind of on the fence or generally anti-union. How did they react to this group of socialists from Birmingham putting stuff up on their board, and then also management taking the stuff that they put up on the board down?
I mean, I think that they felt like that someone was going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
They felt like, oh my goodness, like they're going to get fired or they're going to be retaliated against. And they were like, oh my goodness. And then that kind of helped aid like them kind of, I guess, like go through. But like, I really think that the big thing was they're going to lose benefits. They're going to lose that pay raise. And really, they thought that that the union would kind of leave them behind and put them in the back burner. But really, I think I've been trying to, and the other committee members and other pro-union partners have just been trying to be like, hey, like, we want you there. Like, we care about you. That's the job of a union, is to represent its workers. And that's what we wanted to portray to them. And I feel like I'm very close. Like, other people are close with the people who are anti-union, I guess you could say. But still, like, even then, I'm like, we're very close. So like, I don't think it's come in between our relationship between them. And I've really appreciated them because it's made me realize that we, like, our approach to giving information to people, like, we need to be educated on union information. We need to be educated on Starbucks information to help educate people who aren't as much as informed, or people who are dead set on their views. Like, we want them to know that it's a movement for them as well as for us. So,
yeah.
And I think that that's a really good approach, not alienating people that are anti-union right off the bat. Jane McAlevey has a really good story in one of her books about a nurses' union, where one of the leaders in the anti-union campaign, the anti-union campaign ultimately lost. They won their union election. But because she was such a strong leader in the workplace and she had so many people following her, after the union won the election, they went up to her and they were like, okay, look, we won the election. We're going to be bargaining a contract. We would like you to be involved in making the contract. And she got on the bargaining committee, and she's flipped total 180. And she's a really big union advocate, and flipped a lot of people when she came over, and it's a really strong union, a nurses union over there in Pennsylvania now. So,
I mean, I would say the main thing is, the reason that people at our store are anti-union is because they're scared. And it is I was scared in the beginning, because it's a very scary situation to say, here's the business that you work at. You're making more than a lot of people in Scottsboro. Like, this is the best job that, like, I could get. This is the best job I could get. And I was so scared of losing my job. But it's, the reason you're scared is because you don't know. That's why they're scared. They don't know. I was scared. I learned I'm not scared anymore. So I would say the main thing is just getting people to know more about the union, form their own opinions, know about what's going on, and then the fear goes away, and then they're more on the union side.
And ultimately, even if it is the best job in the world, that doesn't mean that your boss ought to have total say over every single thing that happens. The workers ought to have a say in what happens in their workplace. Like you said, Caitlin, where you spend most of your waking hours, most of the time that you're awake, you're at work. I want to have some kind of say.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so I wanted to say this earlier, but like, my main reason for wanting to do this union was Starbucks everywhere has cut hours so badly that there's people who don't even qualify for the benefits anymore. For example, a woman we work with who's been working there for 8 years?
A lot of years.
Many years. She's not getting scheduled enough hours to actually qualify for these benefits that she's had for the past 8 years. And me, for example, when the hours got cut, it got to a point where I would be lucky if I got 25 hours. I would have weeks where I was scheduled less than 20 hours. And I'm a shift supervisor. For probably about a solid 2 months, I had to make the choice between, okay, am I going to eat or am I going to pay my rent? And it was just, that's when I finally decided, okay, we have to do something. Even if all these threats that they're making are true, it cannot get worse. Like, I have to have a living here.
And what's funny is, like, she mentioned, like, even if those threats are true, they're not. Like, it's literally Starbucks pretty much breaking the law, like, and to try and dissuade and union bust. Like, once we started, like, letting partners know that these threats were kind of empty and that it was pretty much illegal, they were like, oh my goodness, like, are you serious? And we're like, yeah, like, federal law. Like, and they were like, whoa. And like Caitlin was saying, like, it shouldn't, no one should deserve to choose between rent or food. Or no one should choose, like, no one should have to work at a job and have to pick up shifts and, like, pick up unreasonable amounts of shifts just to be able to get their benefits. Like, that's not what Starbucks is supposed to stand for. That's not what they say in the beginning of the interviews, where we have all these benefits. And then you're like, well, you're not giving us the hours to get them.
Yes.
So it's...
And then they claim that even with 4 hours a week, you can still get these benefits. Well, you can't. And even if you could, 4 hours a week is not a livable wage. Like, this isn't a side job. This is a career for many people.
And I make $48 a week. You'll be fine.
Literally.
Yeah, I do remember one time that really hit home for me is I remember our manager said, in a perfect world, I'd be able to give every one of y'all 20 hours a week. And in what perfect world she's in, I don't know.
In a perfect world.
Very, very small imagination.
Well, kind of.
That's, I mean, that's just bizarre. And you know, the thing about their threats being against the law, you know, I mean, companies do break the law sometimes, but what is the response to that? You know, they wouldn't be able to break the law if every single Starbucks store was unionized and, you know, they had to go up against all 9,000 stores, all of their workers saying, you know, we're ready to strike if you mess with these people over here in Scottsboro. Like, that's the way to actually get the things done and fight those threats, is by coming together. It's not by trusting that, oh, they're just going to be good and benevolent with all of the power that we're allowing to have. It's to take the power from them. It's to recognize the power that you have and use it. And what y'all are doing in Scottsboro and Birmingham is a great step towards that. I mean, coming up on 200 unionized Starbucks across the country, 8,800 more to go.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And what's really funny is, like, even though they have all these stores, just all the talks of just like maybe 2,000, like 200 stores. And they're already doing this. They're already trying to give better, like, benefits, like the credit card tipping, because I mean, that was what I think the Buffalo stores that were started this, that's like what they included in their contract when and Starbucks was probably like, oh no, we need to do something, and then we got to take it back to us.
It's like nothing was done until we made something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, in our store, that was a big thing, was as soon as we became public with the union and whatnot,
they were here to fix it.
Everything was getting fixed.
Yeah, I suddenly started getting more hours.
We got approved for overtime. Like, all of this stuff was happening. And it's like, do they expect us to think that this is a coincidence?
Oh, I asked them in my meeting. I said, so it's just a coincidence. They said, yeah.
Yes, they said, yeah, it's just a coincidence. It took 3 weeks from yada, yada, yada. Like, it doesn't, I don't care if you say it's a coincidence or not. It cannot be. And, you know, we're not going to feel better now because you're coming and you're giving us all this nice stuff. The damage was already done. It should have been good from the beginning.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that, like, it's starting to wear away. Like, the stuff that they promised, all the stuff that they said they would do, it's still empty. Like they did it for a little bit and then it's starting to cut back now. And they've just like gotten very strict. It's very like they want to make work where it's not fun anymore. Like, I mean, we used to have like that's why we're so close at our stores, because we made it fun to work under horrible conditions. And now they're just like, you pretty much can't have a conversation anymore at work because it takes away from the partner experience. And I'm like, you take away from the experience when you give the store 3 people to work with on a weekend, and they're having to work all these positions and barely have time to talk to a customer that has paid so much for a drink and can't even have a good experience because Starbucks won't even adequately staff that store. So it's just a whole experience with Starbucks right now. So
yeah. I mean, if they are, giving y'all raises, giving y'all more benefits and things like this with 200 unionized stores, think about once you get 1,000, once you get 2,000, 3,000, 8,000, 9,000.
That would be the ideal world. And you know what? I think I'm very hopeful in the Starbucks partners. Like, I feel like it's not just their store, like other stores across the state, other stores across the country, even internationally. Starbucks is not treating their partners like they say they are. People are starting to see that they aren't, and they're starting to take actions into their own hands. And I'm very proud of Starbucks partners and everything that they do. Even Starbucks Workers United with supporting us and it being Starbucks workers. They've been outstanding, and I'm very proud of partners here at the store and across the state and the country and internationally. So
yeah, we've really, really come together recently.
I would like to add that during a meeting with the Birmingham store, I was able to sit in with Garrett, and we were told that if we unionize, it'll be big because of where we're located. We're kind of located pretty much in the middle of enemy territory. It'll be very hard for us to do it. I think that adds to the fact that we need to fight even harder.
Yeah.
That's why we're fighting, because it would make such a big change and show other small towns like Scottsboro, whatever, that, it's possible. It's possible to unionize no matter where you're at, no matter how many people are at your store.
Absolutely.
I find it very poetic too, because if you look at the Great Awakening, a lot there's theories about how coffee attributed a lot of it, like with Ben Franklin and Thomas Edison. Like most of their ideas were inside coffee shops, and like the stimulation of the brain. And I kind of feel like at Starbucks, they tend to attract employees who do think more critically and aren't as like you were saying in the beginning, as said, following the rules and being like, yes, thank you, boss.
Yeah.
Sweet mama balls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adam, you've been pretty quiet. Have you got any questions that I haven't asked him?
Sure, I do have a question, but before I get to that, I just want to say how freaking proud I am of all of y'all for what you're doing. Yes, because Scottsboro, that is important to show that other small towns, even in conservative and rural areas, can do this. It's not just big cities like Birmingham or Buffalo. It can be anywhere. It can be your community, wherever you're listening. And so that's huge. And also just frankly, as probably the oldest person in this Zoom right now, I'm just incredibly proud. And it makes me feel very, very hopeful to see young folks who get it and are willing to take risks to make their lives better and to improve the lives of their fellow workers. That's what it's all about. That's what unionism is about. And frankly, to me, that's what humanity is all about, is trying to take care of one another and lift each other up. So my question is, for anyone who's out here listening, especially those of us who are in North Alabama, is there anything that we can do as customers or as allies? What can we do to support y'all's campaign?
So, Sarah, Emma, do y'all have anything you want to add?
I would love to pipe in on that one. So the best thing that I think has been helping us is coming in and telling us that you're supporting us. The
Yes.
managers hearing that, I will tell you, Jacob, I saw Nog gave you a little bit of attitude earlier, our store manager. I noticed it. I picked up on it, and it's because you are pro-union and you're here supporting us. So people coming in, it makes a difference. It helps us feel supported, and it helps show the managers that the community isn't against us. They know that it's the right decision, and they're in for a fight, So if you guys come in and tell us that hey, great job unionizing, we'd love to hear it, we'd love to see it, that means a lot to us.
Absolutely.
And
To definitely chime in with what Sierra said, that support, when people come in and customers ask us hey, why are you wanting to unionize? Ask us, hey, what have you actually faced from Starbucks? What have they actually, what's the truth and how they're actually treating you? What have you dealt with, honestly? And that support, because I wear my Starbucks Workers United pin on my apron every day at work. And I have so many people asking, hey, what's this about? How's it going? What's your efforts looking like? And I'm oh my gosh, yes, thank you so much for the support. I'll totally talk about it. But that support from everyone is just so great, because everyone wants to feel loved and they belong somewhere. So that support is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just talking to us, I can't speak for everybody, but I love to talk. And it's like Emma and Sierra said, it's really nice to see that we're not in this alone. Because at times at the store, it 100% feels like
whenever we first went public and we saw all those Facebook comments, people calling us lazy, ungrateful, all these things.
Some man told us that we don't deserve a living wage.
Yes.
Yeah.
He said, what makes you think?
What makes you think you can go to college?
Literally. I was okay.
But I think in that way, it's just more so of in a way, I felt sympathy because he didn't understand or he didn't see. I think people are just so misinformed or uneducated on this subject where they're just set in their ways. And it's sad to see such a beautiful place be so set hard on their views. And really, if we just accepted people as people and humans as humans, if we would just do that, I think our community and our state and even our country and the world would be a much better place in that way. But to add what y'all were saying, to go off Sierra and what everyone else has said, when we see those partners, when we see people come in and customers come in and they're very supportive of us and they're we're so proud of you, it means a lot, because we come into work and our managers are attacking us. They're pulling us aside to threaten us about benefits. When we see a customer come in and they're supportive of us or even just have a good mood, it's very, very impactful to us because it shows us that our community is an amazing community, and just seeing that, it just shows us that it is one. And I guess another thing to add to that, we have a community board in our store. It's close to the bathrooms. If you walk into the main entrance, it's to the right. If you want to write on a sheet of paper, be hey, I'm so proud of you guys, pro union, vote union yes, or any supportive things, or just a personal comment, I would love to see that on our community board. I would absolutely love to see that. And to be honest, Starbucks would probably take it down because it's pro-union or supportive of us partners. Mm-hmm. So, but it would just show the community and us and other workers, other partners out there, and that the corporation doesn't care. The corporation doesn't care. But yeah, definitely seeing the customers come in with support and just opening up that community board and fill it full with personal, supportive notes. I would love that. Yeah.
Another thing I would say for anybody interested in coming in and anybody interested in talking is, all four of us, everybody on this call right now is a part of the committee as of right now. So we're a little bit more educated, a little bit more involved than other people at the store. But when you come in and you even just talk to somebody wearing a pin or you talk to whoever, everybody hears it. And it does impact even the quietest worker. It impacts them. And, even the pro-union people who are quiet and who are still a little bit nervous about it, it's really comforting to hear random strangers being in your support.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, someone you've never seen before be hey, I care about you. Or hey, and you're oh, that's
Not just support for us who are vocal about it. It's support for everybody at the store, even the ones who are quiet and reserved, you know.
And I think I would even say, if we did have supportive notes on the board, if someone came in that were thinking about unionizing there where they worked or something like that, and they saw something like that there at Starbucks, that would probably be an initiative for them to hey, this community here is so supportive of them. I can do it. I have the means to do it. If this small community here is so vocal about it, I can unionize my place of work. So it's definitely impactful, not just for us, but for everyone out there. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, folks, I don't have any other questions. I don't think. Is there anything else that you think is you would want to make sure that you get across to, folks that may be listening about your campaign or unions in general?
Yeah, I would like to add one thing. I think if someone hears about this and they are like, oh, these are just a bunch of kids that are trying to do something, or they're just doing this. And I think I would just like to ask them just to say, we have adults, we have grown adults, we're adults. I know some people might not see us, but I'm about to move out, pay bills. I'm 21. Caitlin's paying bills. She's an adult. Corey's an adult. We have older partners at our store that are adults as well, that are pro-union. And it's more so we're trying to make it better for workers at Starbucks, for partners at Starbucks, and workers across the country, even worldly. We really just want them to know that it's not just, oh, we're trying to hurt the community, or we're trying to raise prices on the drinks. Starbucks is raising those prices, not the union. Starbucks is. So it's kind of just ridiculous to almost even think that, because we are just wanting to make it better for us and even the customers that come in. We're trying to because if we had inadequate staff at Starbucks, for a fact that everyone at that store would be talking to the customers, and we try to do it now, but when you're being attacked from everywhere, it's very disheartening. But our community has really came in, so I'm very proud of it.
And I'll say on behalf of someone who is, people who aren't yet adults, younger teenagers, and anyone who might be younger listening, you don't have to be an adult to make an impact. You don't have to be older to be involved with stuff like this. I'm 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I've done my research and I've gotten involved, and you could say, she's literally a child, she shouldn't be involved with any of this. But, I want things to be good for my generation and people who are my age, because people who are my age are just now getting into work. Mm-hmm. And I want it to be good when they actually move out. Mm-hmm. There's no point in things staying the way they are when you can make an impact.
And I would like to add that we need to break the stigma of fast food workers don't deserve to make a living, because fast food has become a very integral part of our society. Yeah. And if we want it to stay that way, if we want fast food restaurants around, gone are the days where you can work a fast food job to pay for your college. Work for the summer and pay for your college. You can't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. If we still want that as part of our society, we're going to have people working those jobs, and they need to be paid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they can afford it. The corporations can easily afford it.
Yeah,
they make as much as the warehouse companies make.
Absolutely. I think Starbucks, they in the first quarter of this year, they made $8.4 billion, and yet they can't give their partners the raise that they were promised in the summer, benefits to even live. So
they gave the last CEO a multi-million-dollar severance package.
At the exact same time that they cut our hours.
Yes. Absolutely.
Can you imagine getting fired with a $200 or however many $1 million check?
Yeah, that's
not even fired.
That basically came out of our pockets.
About to retire.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it did. I would like to add to Corey. It came out of the partners' pockets. It came out. That, I want partners to know that all of these higher people who are like, oh, we care about the partners. They're making multi-million dollars, multi-billion even, if not that. But like,
to decide the new
But
cappuccino
I have
recipes.
to go 2 months without buying.
yeah,
Yes.
but partners have to choose between food and living and a house, or partners have to make do with like all this stuff for like choosing between benefits or having insurance. It's just a shame that a company that preaches progression is very digressive. So
Yep. Literally.
Well, y'all are my heroes.
Absolutely.
You
Yes.
are my hero.
Thank you seriously for what you're doing and for your words of wisdom, because absolutely people can make a difference, and y'all are proof of that, and we are sending nothing but love and solidarity y'all's way, and we encourage everybody listening, stop by the Scottsboro Starbucks, send some love and solidarity in person, leave some sweet notes for them.
Yeah.
Even if management takes them down, we'll just fill it back up.
Absolutely, because we would love to see some new.
Yes.
That said
Yeah, if anybody wants to carpool down from Huntsville, I've been going once a week and working from there. I'm able to work from home, so if anybody wants to come hang out with me in Scottsboro once a week, feel free to come down.
Friend, you've got 4 people that you can be friends with right here.
Yeah.
Just
There you
come on
go.
out. Come on, six people, 6
Yeah.
friends. Come on.
Yeah, and very cool friends. I gotta say, I was not cool enough at 16 years old to be on a union organizing committee. I mean, good grief.
Yeah.
No, I would like to say, like, it's like any walk of life, like
Yes.
however old you are, like you can still make an impact. Like no matter what you do, your
course.
voice matters. So definitely,
Even if you're old like Adam.
Absolutely.
Years old. You can
you can still make an impact. Yeah.
literally.
Maybe from
All right. What was that, Garrett?
the million
from
years
the
old,
grave.
maybe from the grave. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that I want people to take away from listening here is you as a person listening right now can make an impact. I don't care if you think that you're the most
Small,
insignificant person in the world. You're not at all. And that's the whole thing that a union stands for is everyone can make an impact.
Yes.
Even
right.
outside
your
of it,
voice
yeah.
is heard.
Your
It doesn't
yes.
matter. Your voice is heard.
And anything, yeah.
Yes.
And anything, not just unionizing, but definitely unionizing.
Sierra Moore, Garrett Ellison, Emma Ellison, Ava Halpum, Caitlin Knowles, Corey Bean. Thanks for y'all's time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for
We
having us
appreciate
so
it.
much.
We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys.
Thanks, y'all.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.